Jackson. Control. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Control. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Control. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Cruise control. Because you're on cruise control. Cruise control. Cruise control.
Welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's that time again to buckle up the seatbelts and head out and get ready to talk about what's going on in the automotive industry. And there's none better person to join me on that trip than Les Jackson. Les, how you doing?
Hey, just great, Fred. As usual, we're having fun. Imparting the knowledge that we've gained in the last week about the auto industry. Of course, we've been doing this for many, many years. So we're I like to think of us as sort of walking libraries. What do you think?
Okay, well, let's give some more of that information. And that involves something brand new from Volkswagen. They are reviving a tough truck name from the past to enter the pickup truck market in the U.S. Plus, it signals also, on a different note, an entry-level EV is in the making, and that's good news for a lot of people that want to dip their toe into the world of electric vehicles.
Absolutely, and Mitsubishi is also doing some electricity. They've revealed it's their plug-in hybrid Outlander, which is, I think, going to sell very well.
Yeah, I do too. And speaking of electrified, also, we're going to talk about the Range Rover Sport, which gets hybrid editions and even still has a V8 as an option as well. So we'll talk about that.
Well, you're right. And I, of course, am going to be reviewing our At the Wheel review this hour, the brand new Mini Cooper, which I've been scooting around in this week. It's a Mini. What can I say?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, I'm sure. And you're going to have a full At the Wheel review for us of that. And a whole lot more. You never know what's going to happen here on Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. It's all there, Les Jackson. Have memories of the Scout? It was the International Harvester Scout. Right?
Yes. I remember seeing a bunch of those around here in Northern Virginia many, many years ago.
Yeah, I had one for a very brief period. I was given it because someone couldn't get it started, and they had started to pull apart ignition switches and that, and it was in Brooklyn, New York, and it was sitting there, so I had to go in there where my dad worked, and what happened is someone stole the wheels off of it. So it ended up being scrapped, unfortunately.
Hard to drive.
It was a two-wheel drive version, but I thought it would have been fun to dump a diesel in it or something and just putter around in it. But never got a chance to do that. But now, who knows? Maybe we'll get a Volkswagen Scout to check out. And we'll tell you about that and a whole lot more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control. Les and Fred here. We are rolling along, as is Volkswagen.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going big guns here. Their first thing they're launching is an all-electric pickup. Sounding familiar, isn't it?
Seems like it's something they want to
that's
they
right.
want to play in. Yes,
right, and a rugged SUV, and they're bringing a name back. It wasn't their name,
right?
But it's a name any of us have been around for a number of years would remember. It's the Scout, which is a good name.
Yeah, it's a great name, and of course, it belonged to International Harvester. The Scout was really ahead of its time. It was a two-door and a four-door SUV, body on frame, built tough, corn binder, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And So Howard Deese, who is CEO of Volkswagen AG, has said after Volkswagen's successful turnaround in the U.S., we are now taking the opportunity to further strengthen our position in their most significant growth markets of EVs, including a highly attractive pickup truck and our SUV segment as a group. This is going to be a kind of a standalone brand or sub-brand, the Scout brand. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see what will come out of it. It almost looks like the old International Scout in a way. You know, it's very squared off.
A little bit, kind of boxy.
Do you think International Harvester just let that name kind of fade away? They didn't keep it up with it as far as the
they didn't keep up their
copyright
trademark name, so they lost it, just like Ford lost GT40.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm excited to see what these things are. Obviously, they've got a lot of competition: the Ford Lightning, the Hummer EV, and Rivian, and a whole bunch of other people. But you know what? Hey, it's going to get exciting. Will these will they be more capable than their current offerings? Probably. It's kind of an exciting time. I'm kind of excited to see what they come out with, aren't you?
Absolutely. I like all of this going on. I'd like to see them do more cars, but we all know that's not happening.
No, that's not happening because this is what people want. But it sort of has like a Land Rover take on it too, doesn't it? Or
it
Range
does.
Rover take.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a European
squared
concept.
Off. Yeah. Kind of look for it. Yeah. So, well, that's about all we know on that model, but we do know a little bit more on this model, which is from the folks over at Mitsubishi. Actually, a lot going on at Mitsubishi. They've got their lineup being completely freshened up, and it's a lot of good news there. They're going to reveal the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid at the Twin Cities Auto Show, which is a unique place to reveal it. I don't know why, but it is the modernized Outlander. I'm supposed to get into one of these pretty soon. I'm actually looking forward to it because I think it's a great value.
Yeah, it is. You know, Mitsubishi, they promised us 2 years ago that they were going to be bringing out a bunch of new models.
Yep.
And they've kept that promise.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the Twin Cities Auto Show.
No, I haven't either. But what's interesting about this plug-in hybrid is it has motors on the front and rear. Do we have anything on range? I don't think we have anything on range, full electric range. It is a four-wheel drive system. And the drive battery has been increased to allow the ability to operate more frequently in the electric mode. But increased capacity of the battery and a larger gas tank. It's all good, I guess. But I don't know what the range is on this. I guess around 32 in full electric.
I would think somewhere between 35 and 25.
Yeah, but good looking vehicle and certainly one that we want to check out. I have a regular Outlander coming up in the rotation, and we'll have an at the wheel review of that when that becomes available. But good stuff. Now over at Mercedes, they're celebrating 55 years of AMG, and they have a way of doing it with this
sure
CLA
didn't think it was
45.
Didn't think it was that old.
Yeah. And it will be making the trip into the world of electrics, as we've seen already, that they are doing that. But when we come back, we'll tell you a little bit more about this Mercedes AMG CLA 45 Edition 55. Only 55 of these are going to be made, so they're probably sold out already.
Yeah. Probably.
We'll tell you about that and more when we come back on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Cruise Control. We were just finishing up on the Mercedes. Actually, we weren't finishing.
We were just starting.
On the the AMG 55 years, and it's the 55 or edition 55 that they're putting out in honor of that. The one we're showing a picture of is kind of a unshiny black finish with, of course, the red Brembos. Pretty slick,
Wheels.
And I think pretty fast. Would that be a reasonable statement?
Yeah, it is the Edition 55, 19-inch AMG cross-spoke forged wheels. It has AMG aerodynamics package and an AMG night package. A lot of appearance here, but also a lot of power as well.
Yeah, that's what AMG is all about.
Here's the key takeaway, Les. If you buy a CLA 45 Edition 55, you get a customized AMG indoor car cover.
Okay.
Made of tear-resistant synthetic fiber.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more importantly, there's a two-tone classic red and black Napa leather interior. I always like that. I like a black car with a red interior. I think that's a pretty safe combo.
It's not something I would choose myself, but it is pretty striking looking.
Yeah. And if there's only 55 of these coming to the U.S. market, so probably, they're snapped up by collectors.
Probably already.
Yeah. So there you go. We just told you about a vehicle you probably can't buy.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed it. You're never going to own one.
How about this? Let's talk about one you can buy. The 2023 Toyota Highlander, one of my favorite crossovers.
Yeah.
It's a nice crossover, rides nice. It has a new high-efficiency turbo gas engine and new dual 12.3-inch screens for the limited and platinum models. Power folding mirrors add convenience and improved wireless charger location. Now, what they've done, they've made a 4-cylinder turbocharged 2.4-liter engine that delivers 309 pound-feet of torque, which is more than the 3.5-liter V6 at 263 pound-feet of torque that it replaces. And that's pretty impressive torque numbers. Also, it's going to increase fuel efficiency and decrease emissions, and it is got a manufacturer estimated number of 24 miles to the gallon. So that's an improvement over this V6. And this is something that we've watched throughout the years. 4-cylinder engines pumping out 309 pound-feet of torque, some of them up at almost 400 horsepower. It's pretty amazing numbers from a little 4-cylinder, isn't it?
Do you think that something that large over time that the engines might kind of take a lot of wear?
I always thought that it was better to have a bigger engine that worked lighter than a smaller engine that you had to rev up and turbocharge.
Yeah. Now,
does a turbocharged engine get nowadays, a production turbocharged engine, do you get less life out of it because you're boosting it?
It doesn't seem to be the case so far.
Yeah. I mean, the turbo
like the old
can
days.
Go bad, but you can replace that. It's external.
Yeah. But it's, I always kind of worry about that, man, it's small displacement, but obviously the engineers and marketing people have done some serious study on that issue.
Typically, too, they're not only small displacement and boosted, but some of them, even the boosted engines, have pretty high compression ratios. So you wonder about that, too.
Yeah, that's right.
But there you have it, the Highlander. The the V6 is kind of going away. People talk about the V8 going away, but the V6 is going away as well.
V6s are going, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This also this was a funny takeaway from this press release. It says they have a mid-century modern inspired soft text trim seats with fabric inserts and bronze colored stitching. Mid-century now, of course, mid-century homes, they were big windows and things like that.
Well, big windows and slender blonde furniture or light brown. It was never, and every home had to have a rolling drink making cart,
bar cart.
That's right.
Yeah, but soft text is another thing I'd like to talk about for a minute. People might not know it's actually a synthetic leather, and it's pretty nice.
It is nice. I like it.
I was in an Outback Wilderness that had it, and you could just wipe it down, and it didn't feel like cheap vinyl seats. It was very soft. Hence the name Soft Tex, and I wouldn't mind having it in a vehicle. I think it was very comfortable.
No, I wouldn't either. Leather requires some maintenance.
Yeah.
Soft Tech, as you say, just wipe it down.
Yeah, wipe it down. So that's your term for this week, Soft Tex. It's a synthetic leather, and I don't know what it's made of. Probably
and it's not like the old German Textan, which was the vinyl in German cars in the
Leatherette.
70s. But it was not soft. It was like sitting on a Formica counter.
Perfect for that road trip.
Exactly.
Hey, you're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're glad you're along for the ride. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We got a lot coming up here yet on this edition. We're going to talk about how one auto executive is not too excited about electric vehicles. We'll tell you why he's got an issue with them. We're going to talk about the Range Rover Sport, which is an electrified edition. Range Rover's also going to have a fully electric version down the line. And you drove the Mini Cooper. Which
I did.
Which is very cool.
The latest Mini Cooper.
The latest Mini Cooper. I love the shots of the original Mini Cooper, which are kind of fun. I still think that's one of the coolest looking little cars.
That's the color, by the way.
Yeah, that's sort of a green. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun little thing Mini put together with an original Mini and the current Mini. Cool
Considerable difference in technology.
Yeah, just a little bit difference in technology. I think the nav system was basically some on paper.
Yeah, it was holding up a big road map.
Exactly. So a lot coming up on Cruise Control, and we've also got a lot of great vehicles we're going to be driving as well. You are in the Ford Bronco right now, right?
I drove the Ford Bronco. I'll review that in a week or so. Getting the Mach-E, getting another new Escape.
Wow.
And something else that I can't think of offhand.
I'm going to get the Subaru BRZ it's got one of those 3 pedal cars. 3 pedals, a manual transmission. I'm looking forward to driving the BRZ. You and I talk about it a lot on the show as a cool car, as something like an autocrosser or a cool first car. And it's fun. It will be fun to be in it because that's gotten a lot of upgrades. So I'm kind of excited about that. I also have the Kia Niro Hybrid, which is getting crazy miles to the gallon even around town. It's like deep into the 40s. So that's pretty cool stuff. All coming up, though, on Cruise Control. So stay tuned. We'll be back, and we've got plenty more to go.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub here, along with Les Jackson. We're glad you're along for the ride. Joining us for our trip around the automotive industry. A lot to talk about still, because there's just so much going on. And it's an interesting one. I found this interesting article about this on CarBuzz, but You had a little bit of trivia before the break, before we get into this article. And it involves a question, the Maverick, right?
The Maverick, which, of course, the new Maverick Ford truck, but back in 1970, Ford made a Falcon derivative called the Maverick.
Right.
But that was not the first Maverick car model. So you now know, but I imagine most people would not believe that there was a Maverick earlier than that. But it was in 1958 when the James Garner popular TV show Maverick was running. Big deal show.
Yep.
And Jeep was a sponsor. And one season, they decided that they would make a Jeep model, just paint and trim, and call it the Maverick. But they didn't copyright the name.
Now, it's interesting. I wonder if any of those still exist.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I probably somewhere.
And maybe, if it's just paint and trim, maybe someone just repainted it and didn't care, didn't know about it. That's old TV show. But nowadays, or how would you know? And maybe somebody could just recreate it and you wouldn't know. But
that's true.
Maybe it was
a
trim tag. Who knows?
Plus, Ford would probably sue you.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we talked about this earlier in the show where International Harvester owned Scout. International Harvester no longer makes passenger vehicles. They just make trucks, medium duty and heavy duty trucks. So I guess they didn't care about keeping the Scout name, or maybe they did, and Volkswagen bought it from them, right?
That's right. Well, just like similar to the way Plymouth bought the Roadrunner image, or rented it from Warner Brothers,
right?
Back in that model days. Hey, why not? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of good for everybody.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into our next story after that trip down trivia lane. And this involves Stellantis. The CEO, Carlos Tavares, says there's some serious issues on the horizon for sustainable transport. And he was talking at the Financial Times Future of the Car 2022 conference. He said the material shortage, at least at the Stellantis brands, are set to keep going. And more than that, his outlook on the whole EV transition had a rather bleak spin on it. And he says models like the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, the Grand Cherokee 4xe, as well as the brand's complete lineup of upcoming EVs will continue to be challenging to produce due to material shortages the industry is experiencing. And that will, of course, become more acute as Stellantis transitions to a fully electric brand. He said that the industry-wide shift to electric vehicles is only going to exacerbate supply chain issues. They won't be going away anytime soon, and especially when it comes to batteries. And he predicts that by 2025 to 2026, demand for increasingly complex batteries will reach new heights as brands complete or begin their transition to electric vehicles. And EVs may become bad for business as costs are transferred to the consumers. What we talked about here is you may never own a car. Maybe owning a car or SUV will become a thing of the past and they'll all be leased.
Yeah. I think that's pretty likely. Also, I don't think he's wrong about what he's saying. I think maybe he's overestimating technology advances. And also, I don't think if there's one brand that doesn't really have an urgency to go electric, it's Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's got a lot more breathing room before the big switch, which still is 10 years away.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just signaling that what are we going to do about shortages in that? And there's a lot to think. I mean, I'll say nobody's really talking about fixing up the electric grid at all, you know. And
we'd better start talking.
Transfer, you know, everyone's going to come home and charge their electric vehicle up at night because people are not going to wait. They're not going to just not going to do it. They want to charge it up right away, you know. What happens then? Or does it have to be something that's catastrophe? It all goes bad, and then we just throw billions of dollars at it.
Well, once again, in the words of Winston Churchill, Americans will always do the right thing, but only after they've exhausted all other possibilities.
It's true.
So
I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an interesting article about, you've heard of the term shotgun exhaust, where it's common now where people remove the mufflers, they rev the engine up to put fuel into the exhaust, and then it backfires. And I have to say, I like loud cars.
You like it?
But I don't like that sound. That sounds like a gun going off, right?
It's also illegal.
It's also illegal. There's a law in New York, especially in New York, if you're caught with that, it's a big, big fine. Now in California, they're going to use cameras with microphones that can determine sound-activated enforcement. It's a sensor that activates when it hears a loud noise and then takes a picture of the offending vehicle. Some people are saying it's kind of too new. I'm going to quote the Car Buzz article because it's funny. It says it's too new to pinpoint offenders in traffic, except if you're the dude driving the purple Subaru WRX with the Eiffel Tower as a rear wing. Yeah. So, and that's a direct quote from Car Buzz. But this is SB built SB 1079. There are some severely loud exhausts, that popping and you know, it's some of them sound like a shotgun to me,
or louder. Yeah. I'm very familiar with this. As a matter of fact, I'm working with the Alexandria and Arlington City governments about it. New York City and Knoxville, Tennessee are already using these, and they've cut down these violations by about 80%.
Yeah.
And I've measured those cracking exhausts at over 120 decibels, which is way beyond safe limits. And for human ears.
Typically, the guy also has the sound system pumping where you're four cars back and it's loud in your car. It's like that would be loud if it was coming out of my speakers, you know. You wonder about hearing issues for the.
Well, you don't wonder. Actually, any ENT will tell you that these people are going to have severe hearing loss before they're 40 years old.
Right. And that's a long way to go to not be able to hear. Yeah.
Yep.
So a little bit of technology there. Let's talk. Let's get back into our talk about some new vehicles, though. And this is that's the stripped down version. That's the new base model.
That's the base model. I don't recommend that, by the way.
It's you don't need air conditioning, but
but wheels are extra.
Wheels and doors. There's a bit more about the new Range Rover Sport. It has a lot of technology in here. These are electrified vehicles. Talking about sound, it has a 14 1,430 watt amplifier.
Oh, man.
Next generation cabin air purification filter. And it is electrified performance. They are extended electric hybrid, 2 6-cylinder Ingenium gasoline engines, mild hybrid technology, and an all-new twin-turbo V8 will be available in 2024. And then they're going to have a fully electric model coming out as well. But nice-looking vehicle. Especially don't get the base model, though. That might be a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But
pretty plain.
When we come back, you're going to take a ride in the Mini Cooper, the brand new one. We're anxious to hear about that, so stay tuned to Cruise Control.
Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Now for the mini portion of our show. I don't mean a small portion. I mean, I'm going to review the new Mini Cooper S hardtop, 2-door, of course. They don't call me Mr. Sporty for nothing. and anyway. We've both, Fred, tested minis in the past. This is, of course, true to the whole legacy of minis. It's the same vehicle. Actually, it's that color. That's actually called British Racing Green 4 Metallic.
Number 4.
There have been a number of different British racing greens.
I did not know that.
Triumph.
There was just one color.
No, that was Jaguar that actually had that originally, and then MG British Leyland had its version. Triumph had its version. If you remember, Triumphs were sort of a yellowish green.
Okay.
Anyway,
someday I'll ask you why British Racing Green. Why not red or blue?
I don't know, but
okay, I don't know.
But in any case, this particular one has what signature trim. This is an option. Now, the signature trim is the keyless entry, of course, sunroof, and panoramic, by the way. Sunroof, moonroof, storage package. You can't store much in a Mini.
No, but
so,
what do they give you as a storage?
Well,
package?
under seats and a couple areas, and in the back, in the trunk. There's a little things to store, little bags to store things in.
Okay.
It's just kind of a nice thing. Heated front seats, but not power. They're manual seats, dual zone climate control, a manual transmission. This is part of the signature trim package for $4,000.
Now, remember, you have a rare car there because Mini's getting rid of all manuals.
That's right. This is a 6-speed manual. And by the way, the clutch and the shifting is the smoothest, quietest, simplest, most elegant clutch and shifting I've experienced in many, many years.
Cool.
It is just, as they used to say, like slicing butter.
Yeah, butter.
It really is nice.
Yeah.
So that's what you get for $4,000.
Okay.
And then the touchscreen navigation is $1,000. Now, we were talking about this over the break. Minis still don't offer Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that's just not good. But
that's so strange because
it's just. Come on, guys.
I guess there is a licensing cost to it, maybe, or
but these aren't.
Want you to buy the navigation, so because you can't. I don't know.
It's $1,000 for the nav system. It works fine. And it's the touch screen. You get other things. Actually, I take that back. It is now offering with this Apple CarPlay,
but not Android Auto.
So
you may have to buy $1,000 phone to make it work.
Yeah, you might have to.
Yeah.
At least they're getting somewhere. But the standard Mini without this navigation package, you don't get any of these compatibilities. Obviously, you get Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's in there. Otherwise, the usual goodies with Mini, and that is to say, sport wheels. These are summer tires on this particular model. That's part of the trim package.
Okay.
Summer tires means great handling, not so great ride. Minis are always, for me, kind of a stiff ride, a choppy
there's
ride.
Hardly any wheelbase, too.
Hardly any wheelbase. And when you get summer tires, that's all about performance. And there's lots of performance. They're quick.
Yeah, but then if you drive it in the winter, you got to have another set of wheels. And
you got to have it. Well, yeah, or you can drive these tires, but I wouldn't do it. In fact, I drove it in the rain the other day, and it's pretty squirrely.
Okay.
As you might expect, they're summer tires, summer performance tires. Dynamic cruise control, all those other goodies. It still has on the middle of the dash the little all of the toggle switches, and the leftmost toggle switch is to turn off the stop start, which in a Mini is really annoying. The stop start most of the time.
It shudders, I bet.
It's just, keep it running.
Yeah.
Which you can, but it always defaults to not. Now the seats are done, and I love the name, Chesterfield Leather Malt Brown.
I don't know whether to drink that or smoke it.
These are these cross-stitched. That's a beautiful color. It's kind of a chocolatey color. Mm-hmm. They're just gorgeous stitching, extremely nice. It looks like an expensive leather handbag.
Okay.
Beautiful, and they're comfortable. They don't have too much bolster, but just enough. But again, they're manual seats, which drives my passengers crazy.
Now, do you think that was because of chip shortages, or it's just manual?
Honestly, I don't know. But this is Minis are not inexpensive, considering it's not a basic car, but it's a simple, everyday runabout fun car. Virtually no rear leg room, maybe 5 inches when I'm not tall, but when my seat's back where it belongs in the passenger seats, I measured. It was 7 inches.
I call that a vestigial back seat. It was a back seat. You can put your hat on it, or a small pet,
or a banana.
Yeah, maybe a nice a pet. It would be nice for pets.
That's right, but it's very smooth to drive on the road. Very quiet. Mm-hmm. Slower speeds on, residential streets. Its tires are pretty noisy, but otherwise, it's a Mini. Everybody loves them. Your friends all stop. Oh, look, it's a Mini. It's just great. And the fact is, you can carry a full week's groceries in what there is of a trunk, and that's for us 4 bags.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's about right.
Total price $34,850, including the destination charge of $850, which these days is a giveaway.
Yeah.
33 miles to the gallon highway, 23 on the road. I'm averaging maybe 30.
Wow. It's not bad.
Well, yeah, because, we don't try to nurse them.
Yeah.
All in all, a cool car, but I would prefer, if I had one, I'd prefer larger wheels or smaller wheels, larger tires.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Les,
so there we are.
at the wheel of the Mini Cooper. We appreciate it. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.